In this video, we're going to discuss standing waves and strings. So hopefully you've already watched the demo video showing what a standing wave actually looks like. So it's a lot easier to visualize when you've seen a demonstration of this. So make sure you watch that video first before watching this lecture. Alright, so we also talked about wave interference, and the idea of wave interference is that at any particular moment when two waves cross paths, the wave function for that particular moment is equal to the addition of the two individual wave functions. So I factored the amplitude out front, but for the standing wave, you have one wave that is traveling forward and one wave that, or reflection, that is traveling back. So we're adding together those two wave functions. And using some trig identities, we can end up with this relationship I've written here. And the important thing to note is the fact that it's 2 times the amplitude. So the amplitude of a standing wave is 2 times the amplitude of the original wave. So the wave that went through and then the reflection back. So remember, when you're dealing with a standing wave, the wave pattern actually remains still. The amplitude itself fluctuates, but there's no transmission of energy. So the wave really isn't traveling back and forth like you would think with just a wave by itself. Alright, so we're going to be able to, by the end of this lecture, calculate the frequencies at which you get a standing wave. So you would have seen in the demonstration video that there are certain frequencies in which you actually form a standing wave. If you're not at that particular frequency, then you get the string wobbling all over the place and you don't actually get that standing wave pattern. Alright, so I have 3 scenarios set up below. So we're going to call them n equals 1, which we're going to refer to as the fundamental frequency, n equals 2, and n equals 3. So each case, we're essentially adding an additional node. So a node is wherever you get destructive interference. So there's automatically nodes where you're pinning down your string. So these are post, and I've attached a string. So there's automatically nodes there. There's going to be destructive interference. And an antinode occurs at the greatest amplitude. So when you're getting constructive interference. So in this case, the length between the two posts is going to equal 1/2 of a wavelength. N equal 2, we add an additional node, which means L is now equal to a wavelength. And then for n equals 3, we add an additional node. So we have a node at 2 original nodes at the posts, and then we have 2 nodes. So remember, nodes are where you get destructive interference, and then we have several positions where you're getting constructive interference or complete constructive interference, where the amplitude would be 2 times the amplitude of the individual waves. Alright, we know that frequency is equal to speed over wavelength, or originally I probably would have written that as speed equals frequency times wavelength. So I rearrange it. I'm plugging in for each of these. For wavelength, I'm plugging in from over here. And we can sort of see a pattern forming where we have speed at the top and L on the bottom. What's only different is sort of the fraction out front. So I'm going to do a little bit of a math trick here, where I'm going to put a 1 up top here. That doesn't change anything. I'm going to multiply by 2 over 2 here. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I'm still multiplying by 1. And for our last one down here, I'm going to flip the fraction that is in the denominator. So you can see a pattern forming here where this is 1, this is 2 up top, this is 3 up top. So we can rewrite this frequency equation for any harmonic, where the 1, 2, and 3 are harmonic numbers, as the harmonic number times the speed of the wave divided by 2 times L. So n is the harmonic number, with n being the fundamental frequency. And if you take the fundamental frequency times 2, you get the second harmonic frequency. Take it times 3, you get the third harmonic frequency. So these are frequencies at which a standing wave will form in that particular setup, so based upon the length of the string. Remember, speed we've already learned how to calculate for a string. We do have to keep in mind, though, that whenever we're calculating this L is the distance between post to post. So L is equal to distance from post to post. But whenever we look at linear mass density as being m over L, this L here is the length of the string. Now, in the scenario I've set up here, that is the same thing. However, you can have a setup where we actually used to do a lab, the original lab 115 before we started using the water air column setup, was we had essentially a giant tuning fork that had a piece of cloth rope, so clothesline essentially, attached to it. That piece of cloth rope would go from the giant tuning fork over the edge of a table, so over a pulley to reduce friction, and that would create a node there. So there would be the actual length of the string that actually was vibrating and contained the standing wave was from the tuning fork to the edge of the table. But then the rest of the length of the string would hang over the edge of the table with some mass attached to create tension inside of the rope. So the linear mass density would be calculated using the entire length of the string, whereas the fundamental frequency would have been calculated using the distance between the tuning fork and the edge of the table. So those are not necessarily the same values, so keep that in mind.